what? We're gonna make it.
Hey you guys, it's Trina Mama. Please, before I start this video, like, share, and subscribe. Keep your notifications on. Leave me comments. Call me. I'm just kidding. Email me. My email's down there. Email me, whatever. Okay. I'm going to the story. So, the first story that I talked about was my mother-in-law from hell. I never once mentioned my father-in-law from hell. Let me just show you what I'm eating, because I think it's kind of... I've been trying to do, like, this healthy thing lately, so I've been eating, like, things that aren't, like, too bad. Grains. I love, like, almonds and shit, and I don't know. Anyways, back to the thing. So, my father-in-law from hell, we're going to start off when I first met him. So, I met my father-in-law when I was, like, 14, and he's always very quiet. Like, when I first met him, like, he never really said much of nothing. He just say, oh, hey, how are you doing? He never really talked. He never really gave me eye contact. It was almost like he didn't exist. Like, when I first initially met him, like, he did not act like I existed, and I didn't really care. He'd say hi, I'd say hi, hey, whatever, end the story. So, I remember there was a point where I was homeless and I needed a place to stay. So the dad, my ex-husband's dad, which is my father-in-law, was like, oh, let Shay stay with us. That's what they call me, Shay. Let Shay stay with us. And so his mom's like, okay, you know, whatever. And they let me stay in, you know. So initially, I've always kind of got the creeps from him. Like, I just always felt weird. Like, I always felt like he was just, like, staring at my ass or my tits or something. And he was always just, like, doing extra shit for me. Like, I would be, like, you know, I used to have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he would, like, you know, like, wake me up in the morning. Which I didn't see anything wrong with that at first. Then he would start making me breakfast, where he did not make his wife or my husband, my ex-husband, breakfast. He would give me money, which I was kind of like, come to find out, never once gave my ex-husband, or guess what, his wife money. But he was giving me money every morning, making me breakfast, waking me up. There was a couple instances I had to actually stay at the house with him. And he would, like, randomly open the door of the room that I was in. Sometimes just stand in there and just stare at me and not move. Like, I'd be like, hey, and he would just, like, stare and not move. And it was like when I'm up watching TV or something like that, like, just living life, he would just stare and not fucking move. And I was just like, what's up with that? Like, why are you just staring at me and not moving? Like, you know. And Derek, which was my ex-husband, was like, oh, well, he's just like that. This is how he is. Like, whatever. Not a big deal. And I'm like, okay. There's times when I was, like, be in the restroom and I'm, like, trying to take a shower, and I, like, hear someone at the door. Like, you know, I hear, like, scruffling and shit. And only people who were in the house was me and him. And guess what? My father-in-law had to been peeking at me through some type of crack or door or some shit. So there was a lot of instances where I've seen him actually peeking and staring at me, right? Like, peeking through cracks, peeking through doors, peeking under the freaking shit, like under the door where there's a crack and shit, and listening to me. And, you know, he would come in the room, he'd stare. He didn't really always say a lot of words, but he was definitely fucking stare. And I just thought that this behavior was just a little alarming. So I told my ex-husband at the time, and he's like, don't worry about it, whatever. He's like, my mom, they're just whatever. So at the bottom of this video, I'm going to post my mother-in-law from hell, both parts, so you can see what the fuck I went through, okay? So then, you know, I remember, like, just getting this weird feeling about him. Like, I would see him, like, staring at little girls playing on the playground. Like, just staring, like, just, like, mesmerized, like, not moving, like, just staring at little children at the playground. I always thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, why is your dad going to the playground and just staring at kids? And he's like, oh, he always does that, you know, he doesn't do anything else, he can't work. I'm like, okay, it's a little weird. Okay, so then my daughter was born. You know, we ended up moving back in when my daughter was born because they were like giving us like a safe haven. They're like, oh, you can move in with us and we'll pay for everything and da 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 da. And you'll know when you look at my mother-in-law from hell in the description box, right? What happened? So then my daughter was born. I remember she was like 1 year old. Maybe not even. Maybe, okay, let's just give or take 1 or less, or maybe a little bit older. I don't know, around that range. And I remember that I was just playing with Fifi, which is my daughter. And her channel's at the bottom as well if you want to go check her out. I was just playing with her, like, you know, like how you tickle your daughter and da da da. I remember he comes in there and he's like, she's sexy. And I'm like, okay, you know. She's gonna have a big ass and she's sexy and you know she's this and that, and I just thought that was kind of weird. So I brought it up to my husband's attention, and he was just kind of like, that's just how he talks. That's how everybody talks, right? Everybody talks like that. Everyone does that. It's crazy shit, right? Yeah, whatever. So I was just kind of like, no, that's not, you know, you shouldn't call 1 year old sexy. Like, that's not, sorry. I was like, that's not right, you know. So me and Derek ended up separating. And I told him, I said, you know, you can take Fifi over there, but don't have her on your dad. Your dad's always giving me the creeps. He was always doing all this extra shit with me, always staring at me, always like, oh, you got makeup on today. Like, you know, always watching everything I wore, watching everything I did. Like, it was just like, I feel like I was under a magnifying glass and this man never even talked to me. He just stared at me all the fucking time. Like, you know, and handed me money and made me breakfast and wanted to do shit to me that he didn't do to his own son and wife. So I just thought that that was really alarming, and it just kind of irritated the fuck out of me. Like every time I did my hair or something, it's like, your hair is done, your clothes, your breakfast. Like I was just like so fucking mad. Like, so anyways, so rewind, you know, when me and Derek separated, I said, yeah, you know, Derek lived with his mom, and I said, y'all can go ahead and stay over. I mean, you can take Fifi, you know, we had an arrangement. I said, but the only rule is do not leave her with your dad by herself. He said, I know. His mom said, I know. I would never leave her with my husband, even though I know that's her grandpa, because I just would never do that. And then Derek was like, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. I'd watch her. Why would I leave her with him? Blah, blah, blah. So Derek was lying to me, telling me that that he wasn't working at the time, so he'll keep her because he's not working, so he's home all day. So I was like, okay, and I would call and check in or whatnot. And so one day I called Derek and I was like, hey, I'm picking up Fifi, and he goes, okay, you can go pick her up. She's with my dad. I'm like, I knew something happened. Like I knew. It's like you have like an intuition as a mom. You're like, I felt in my soul, like so fucking hurt. Like I remember like crying hysterically. I was like, why would you do that? Like I had a feeling about this man. This man is not fucking okay. You don't call a 1 year old sexy. You just never do it. You just don't do it. You know what I mean? You don't talk about, you know, things you would do with the 1 year old if they weren't 1 year old, like, or if they weren't your grandchild. I mean, it's like, so I cried hysterically. Like I remember this day right now, and I was like crying and crying. I was like, why would you leave my child with this man? I told you don't fucking do that. Like I remember, like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like reliving it right now. Like I literally, like, I'm feeling not okay. So and Derek is like, well, I didn't know if you're gonna let me keep her if I told you that I was at work. I was like, why would I not let you keep her? We had an arrangement. Like, you can keep your child, but she can't be there by herself with this man who acts like a fucking pedophile. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, I get to the house and I pick up Fifi, and Fifi's like crying. My daughter, like, she's like, has tears in her eyes just rolling down, and her grandpa's like, oh, it's because you don't want, you know, you just don't want to leave me. It's okay. Like, you'll see me again or whatever. So I took Fifi to my house, right? This is like, Anyways, I took Fifi to my house, and I remember, well, my mom's house at the time, and Fifi was like walking funny, and she was going every time she was walking, right? She was saying, every time she was walking, and she was walking funny, and I bathed her, and I just gave her a normal bath, and I remember like I went in the room and we're just like talking, and she's sitting in my lap, and she goes, "Ow, my pee-pee hurts," and I'm like, "Why? Why's your pee-pee hurt?" You know? And she's like, "Cause Grandpa was bumping," and I was like, "What does that mean?" And she got her hand and she started like showing me what that meant, and so I immediately called the police. The police came over. They told us to take her to the hospital. We took her to the hospital. There's evidence. Yeah, we got the evidence back. And then they said they were gonna go pick him up. And then CPS got involved. Like the next day or two, CPS came over, started asking me questions, talked to Fifi by herself, talked to me by myself, and she told them what happened. And they interviewed her school too, like to ask questions there or whatever. And CPS asked me, they were like, "Are you going to, you know, like let her go over there anymore?" I was like, "No, I would never let her go over there by herself ever again," you know. And so she asked me, my daughter, she asked me, she said, "Please do not let me go over there by myself anymore. Please," you know, begged and pleaded with me to please never let that happen, because her dad's gonna let her grandpa do that to her again. I was like, "I'm never gonna let you over there again." We ended up going to a court date, and they ended up losing their rights, or Derek lost his rights. And Fifi has never seen that family again. You know, this family, like, it's just crazy. Like, I'm gonna find this video. I'm gonna attach it to this video. And in that video, like, I think I was crying to Derek, like, why would you let this happen to my child? He knew his father was a molester, which is why he said, "Oh, well, we called her every hour on the hour to make sure she was okay." So we don't hear from her no more. We don't talk to them. That family is not in my life. That's the story of my father-in-law from hell. My mother-in-law from hell was also a very sad story as well. That family is insane. I want you guys to know, if anything's happening like that, any type of abuse is going on, and you know that it's not okay, like, speak to your mom, speak to your dad, your grannies, your cousins, your brothers, whoever, teachers. Like, don't let these sick fucks get away with it. Do not. And I did not let them get away with it. I went ahead and went all out. I called the police. I did my part. And it was just so unfortunate that had to happen to her, you know? Like, I told her dad not to do that because I didn't trust him. Like, I had a gut feeling that this man was insane. And he proved it. He proved it right. My daughter was telling me, like, how he would punch her in her chest and tell her not to tell that nobody what happened. Like, I'm gonna punch you this hard if you tell somebody. And he would, like, punch her hard in her chest and tell her, like, if you tell somebody, I'm gonna punch you like this, you know? So it's like, the man is fucking sick-ass bastard. She's fucking 2. She was 2.5, and now she's 6. She's away from that family. We're away from that family. Thank God. I wish this on no one's child, but I know people are going through this or have gone through this, and I want to encourage you guys, like, to seek help. And if you're a mom, like, protect your baby. Like, do what you have to do. Go keep them away from those sick people. Women, men, we all have intuition about certain people and certain things. And if your intuition is telling you something about someone, then you need to listen to it and act on it and protect your children or your child, your niece, your nephew, whoever it is. Protect them. Don't let people get away with stuff like that. This society is so messed up right now. Like, don't be the cause of something evil or happening in your child's life or in your life. Let's keep that negativity out. Like, there's ways, there's you know, like, there's numbers, there's resources. You do not let things like this go, and don't let things like this be okay. Either if it's you, if it's your child, whatever it is, whatever kind of abuse it is, you deserve so much more in life. You deserve for people to love you and treat you the way that they need to treat you. Don't ever think that you deserve any type of ill behavior, because you don't. We were created to have the best in life. Now, we do live in a sinful world, so sin's going to follow us, but you can make the difference. You really can. You can walk away. You can seek help. You can make a different outcome for your future. Do not let things be okay that aren't okay.
Yeah, as far as my life, like, I have a goal, I have a plan. And it's like, honest to people, things are about to get real crazy. Do not be fooled.
The real person that she needs to stay away from is you. I don't know. How could you? All that she had in this world was me and you. The worst pain. It's so surreal. And now my head hurts. I just want you to know
I'm not
she's
gonna
be
blow
happy
up.
because you're gonna have to suffer for your consequences, for the consequences of your actions.